So it has been a week since 13.1 dropped. There are several things that have not dropped in JP still, so not everything can be covered. There's a new slot in the Legend Rare section in the Cat Dictionary, you know, that's all I can say. And then there's one new Ultra form, which is Cat 6 Siege Engine. There's two new talents. This is basic talent, one for Sarukani, one for Nobiluga, and one more Ultra talent for Nurse Cat. The wiki update, basically. Overall, there's actually not that much that I can cover. I'm gonna go through some of the less interesting stuff first, and then I'll move on to like the new unit and I guess the new mechanic, which we'll talk about, because there's a pretty big mechanic that I'm pretty sure most of you guys have already known. I think I'm gonna start with the basic talents. Nobiluga, who for the longest time ever in his base form has immune to wave, knockback, freeze, slow, weaken, warp, and curse, despite having no target, finally gets a target of relic targeting. One of his talents allows him to get a strong against relic. This is an instant unlock for a new ability and a new trait targeting. It costs 150 in total. Usually these sort of stuff cost 100, but since this one also unlocks a new trait targeting instantly, this price the price goes up a little bit. The other is survive lethal, where at max it'll have 100% survive lethal and toxic immunity and basic stat buff. Overall, honestly, I kind of somewhat like this, but also not really. I think having a relic targeting for Nobilan is actually kind of good. There's a lot of relic units that Nobilan can hit. Things like Puffsly, things like Autumn, things like, what's his name, Loris, the floating head, Loki. There's a lot like troublesome relic enemies that Nobilan can hit, but I think only having strong against this, I don't know about that one, Chief. Your base DPS is like 3000. I don't think people are gonna invest on this, is the thing. You do not really have the stats to be that good against relic. Like, even though I think range wise you are really good against relic, your damage does not really help if it's only boosted by like 50%, which is like Personally, I think what would be good, if you give it massive damage, I think this would actually be more worth it. The damage would be significantly higher. It'll actually trump a lot of like LD options for relics. Another thing that I think it could have is, I guess, strong against and maybe curse. If it can also curse relic backliners, if it can curse things like Puffsy, Autumn, Loki, whatever, Loris, then I think it would be an actually pretty good support as well. Curse or freeze or whatever, I think that would be good. But as of right now, if it's just strong, I don't really know about that. It definitely improves him, and I think that's a step in the right direction. But I think Ponos is a fucking coward. Shitty units get shitty talents, especially when it comes to like talents and ultra talents. I don't know why that is the case, but that's always been the case with Ponos. I don't understand why they do this. There's like a 20% chance that if you get ultra talent, your ultra talent will be good even if you're a bad unit. Examples would be Ku, Anubis, Akira, but even then, that's like a huge investment that not a lot of people are willing to make. But when it comes to like basic talent, holy shit, there's like basically no Uber that turns from bad into good because of basic talent. That just does not exist. I will say like ultra form so far has been really good for like basically every unit that got them. Although I think Dioramos is still a little bit, I think it's still like a huge step up compared to talents. But yeah, that's basically it for Nobi talent. The other thing is Sarukani talent. There's immune to toxic, immune to freeze, which I think both are pretty good. Immune to toxic, I guess it doesn't work on like a lot of stages. It works on a couple of stages, and I think it'll still help. Immune to freeze, I think it's a pretty big one. You're going to be able to use it in a lot of stages that you usually won't be able to, I guess. But even then, generally, I think it's a little bit situational. But the main big thing that Sarukani gets is a at max 20% chance to Savage Blow. 20% is a little bit rare, admittedly. I think given Sarukani's attack rate, which is not that crazy, Sarukani's attack rate is 7 seconds long. Like, that's pretty long. For a 20% chance, the chance of this happening might not be that great. It's still going to be very luck-based. 20% isn't that great. You can't really fully rely on it. But if it happens, this is going to do so much damage. Savage Blow is times 3 damage. He will do basically like almost 150, 120, 140-ish damage at level 30. Imagine that at higher level, and imagine that against angels or zombies. It's going to one-shot basically majority of zombies if you're lucky with it. It is very, very good. The question is, do you want to actually invest in 235 NP? It's still quite a lot of NP. It is still pretty luck-based, but it's still a pretty good one too. Effectively a 60% damage increase on average. It's a little bit hard to say when it comes to Savage Blow. The thing about Savage Blow is that it's so random. Like, there are times where like your Savage Blow hit would actually like miss the target completely. It's way too random to want to like get like an average damage increase when it comes to Savage Blow. When it comes to Savage Blow, you don't go like, oh, the DPS increase. No, when you have Savage Blow, you go, oh, I have a chance to like insta-kill enemies. That's what Savage Blow is. I know that like mathematically that's gonna be like easier to understand, but realistically, that's not how it works unless your unit have like really high chance of Savage Blow, or if your unit's attack rate is like really, really, really high. Then that maybe you can say like the average damage is increasing, but otherwise, if it's a unit like Sarukani where it attacks like every 8 seconds, a 20% Savage Blow, you can't really add to the calculation of average damage. That's just not how it works. You can't really look at that unit that way. But yeah, good talent. It's still really expensive, but it's good. Oh, what else is... Okay, I'll talk about Nurse a little bit later. I guess that's all for like the side thing. It's literally just a talent. So I guess let's move on to the spicy stuff. Right, so this is the new ZL. Of course, there's a new chapter. This chapter is a bunch of nothing. Cyberface, Gobble, Haterbot, Zooks, Ginger Snake, Saint Piggy, Reynard, Johnny Leon, Goku, one Borophim, Crockley, and Ribble. By the way, this Borophim, remember, this is ZL9. Remember that ZL is after UL. After 48 chapters of Stories of Legend, after 48 chapters of Uncanny Legend, after so much trials and tribulation, you finally reach ZL, and on the Nin chapter, this Borophim is still 100% notification. I don't know why Ponos hates Borophim so much. They would buff Wing Piggy to hell and back, but Borophim, no! Fuck that. Keep him at 100%. Why? Just buff this guy, man. This poor guy has been 100% since SOL. Why? What the fuck? Wing Piggy was like really strong in the previous chapter. But no, Borophim, ZL9, still 100%. This poor guy dies from everything. This is the most easily counterable by Ramen enemy. Like, Wing Piggy is like hard to counter with like Ramen because it still deals big damage and still goes like a high range. Borophim is a melee attacker that dies from like Ramen spam. Why is he 100%? Borophim is your cash refresh. It's so weird. Jeez. I don't know why. They just hate Borophim so much. And then there's like an Axolotl stage. I think this is like Kugelschreiber, where there's only like one enemy at a time. Axolotl, Zamel, Death Cory, and the Red Cyclone. Oh my god, that's so scary, guys. I can't 1v1 Red Cyclone. A single Red Cyclone? Holy shit. One Zolo, Relic, Doge, Mr. Celaboodle, Gravy, and Emos. I think this one is still very easy. It's a very generic stage. Now, how about this one? ZL96, a stage that begins by sending out Doge Dart and 677, with more Doge Darts spawning with every 10 seconds show out the fight. Isn't that so simple? Isn't that such a simple looking stage? It's just a boss and a constant Dark Doge. That's it. Surely this is easy, right, guys? Here it is. So, attachment to a good life, as Johanne put it. By the way, new music. I should probably turn off my audio. Hold on. There it is. There he is. That's Socrates. He literally moves like a sliding PNG. Like, look at this. He just moves from left to right, sliding like that. And he attacks with like only shining. But my god, this guy has like the attack rate of Sorel and has like the LD of Eulala. You seeing what's happening right now? Everything is getting fucking shredded. You see Cyberpunk and Sniper over there? These are like usually the boss killer, where there's like, oh, you know, it's just a single enemy. Using Cyber and Sniper would like absolutely destroy this guy, right? No, this is basically like required. You can't beat it without, but it is absurd without both Cyber and Sniper. And you might wonder, it's like, well, if you have both Cyber and Sniper, surely you can perma-slow, right? Cyber attacks here, right? So Cyber's slowing all of them, right? Cyber's slowing the Dark Doge, Cyber's slowing the main enemy. So they're all slowed together, right? But look at that. Do you see that? Do you see this? The Socrates is off of the slow, and the Doge has not. You see that? Socrates is already off slow. He's not slowed anymore. The doge is still slowed. It resists every debuff. It's not immune to freeze. It's not immune to slow, but it resists. So the Sage Socrates has this sub-trait. It is a floating enemy, but it also has a new sub-trait. The sub-trait is called Sage. What the Sage sub-trait does is that it gives a natural resist to every single debuff. It resists weaken, it resists freeze, it resists slow, it even resists knockback. Like you see, whenever Sniper knocks him back, he only gets knocked back by like a small amount. You see that? So he starts off here, he gets knocked back. You see how small he gets knocked back? Like he gets knocked back by like 10 centimeters. He resists everything. Slow and freeze and weaken duration becomes much shorter. Knockback distance becomes much shorter. Everything is shorter. Yes, it's shorter by about 70%. So you see why this guy is really relentless. You can't really try to use like a Necrodancer stack because he would get off the freeze like immediately. You can't try to like healer cheese or anything. He would get off the freeze immediately. Even things like Breaker Blast or Freeze Bolt, he would also resist those. And you see his damage is kind of big too. So the secret here that Johanna used, that he's been using this entire time, is Nekokamon, the gold brick cap. But there's a special remedy to this gold brick cap that Johanna is using. You see what base he's using? The base he's using, not the top, but the bottom of the base. He's using the anti-floating base. He has a max floating resist base with a defense up. And with both of these active, Nekokamon can take one extra hit. That's like the crazy min-max that you need to do to deal with this boss currently. It is so insane. A level 50 gold brick with maximum level anti-floating base and a defense up. And it's still like a huge pain in the ass. Once you get like 2 or 3 cybers, it's basically over, but like it's still like very scary. This guy is very relentless. You see his attack rate, right? Like this is not sped up that crazy. This is a little bit sped up, I think, and you can see his attack rate is insane. His attack rate is literally similar to that of like Sorel or like Enemy Hyper Mister, I think. And he has really long LD too. Let's play this at the background currently, because this music is actually also really nice. And also, I guess you gotta zoom in on Socrates' design right here. If you watch my Christmas video, the reason why there's a random Socrates, a random Sage thinking with like a pillar behind him, it's because it's this guy. This music is sort of a remix of like the main battle theme too. It's really nice. I really like this music. But yeah, his design is kind of like a statue of like the Tinker, but with like the face is destroyed for some reason. Alright, so this is the enemy stats. He has 4 million HP. His attack power is 24,000 with the attack frequency of 0.7 seconds. His DPS, you can see here, is 34k. It's kind of insane. He is floating, so you can use Octo on it. Even though he resists things like weaken or freeze and slow, he doesn't really counter cats that has like massive damage or like resist. So if Octo has resist, he doesn't like nullify the resist or anything like that. He only nullifies the debuffs to himself. But if you use like Windy or like Kai, then the multiplier will still work as intended. So you see his standing range is 250, but he hits up to 430. This counters Dragon, this counters Mena, this almost hits Ururun and Bahamut. This basically beats everything that is not a special backliner. This guy's range is really high. I like that the theory of this being some messed up alternate reality that Meta Buster wanted to get rid of, but he stopped him in doing so. I guess so. It's kind of like, it's like a weird limbo dimension, I guess, where like things are messed up. And so I guess Socrates is like one of the things that like gets messed up. What the fuck is this? Is that Minos Prime? I subscribed to the theory that the cats ruined the multiverse. I'd imagine so. Yeah. That sounds pretty much about right. It also hits Raid, does it? Oh yeah, I guess Raid's like 400 or something, right? Raid does resist this guy. I'm sure Raid can survive a pretty decent amount of time, but Raid might not survive that long. But yeah, it's a very scary enemy, very scary stage. Chokenja, Super Sages, are a type of enemy introduced in version 13.1 and first encountered in ZL9. Sages are resistant to most special effects inflicted by cat units, including Weaken, Freeze, Knockback, Slow, and Curse. However, there is, of course, with every subtrait, there's a Slayer, unfortunately. There's a new thing here called Sage Slayer is a new ability where, similar to like Behemoth Slayer, similar to Colossus Slayer, it does give you the edge over those enemies. It does give you extra damage, it does get you extra resist. It's 1.2 times extra damage and half damage resist, which is I guess a little bit similar to like Strong Against. It's not as big as Behemoth Slayer or Colossus Slayer. Colossus Slayer is 1.6 times and takes 0.7. Behemoth Slayer is 2.5 times damage and 0.6 resist. Sage Slayer is 1.2 times damage but 0.5 resist. So in a way, this is a little bit more like defensive. I do like this way better than the others because Behemoth Slayer is like really fucking stupid. 2.5 times damage is stupid as fuck. And having that and being able to like multiply it with like Strong Against or like massive damage and stuff like that is very, very, very dumb. Sage Slayer, luckily the multiplier isn't that big. I still kind of wish that there's no multiplier, but unfortunately there is a multiplier, and I guess at least it's not that bad, and I'm a little bit okay with it. On top of the ability to be able to having extra damage and resist better, Sage Slayer would also bypass the Sage ability of being able to resist those debuffs. Sage Slayer would be able to just completely bypass those. If your anti-floating has Sage Slayer, they would still do the full effect of whatever debuffs they do towards Sage enemies. Currently, I believe the only unit that has Sage Slayer is the unit that you get from ZL himself. I forgot to mention that this is a legend unit. This is the first legend ZL. I completely forgot to talk about that. Yeah, you get Socrates after you beat the stage. Socrates himself does have Sage Slayer, but there is another person who has Sage Slayer, and it is Nurse Cat. Nurse Cat now has an Ultra Talent, which gives her Sage Slayer. And would you know it, Nurse Cat is an anti-floating, so you can use her for Socrates. So if you really badly want to beat Socrates, but you don't have Cyber and Sniper, or you just don't really want to tank too much, then you could consider going Ultra Talent for Nurse. Nurse does have like 50% chance to knock back and slow. For floating, Nurse Cat is relevant for one stage currently. Anti-floating and anti-black, it looks like she made for it. Yeah, this does kind of feel like the stage for Nurse. The other Ultra Talent that she has is a 100% chance to do mini search and cost down. The cost down is 450 at max, which is really not much. Her cost is 4,350, so it minus 450 is like 3,900. It's like, yeah, that's cheap, but that's not that much. You're not gonna really spend 225 NP for that. The mini search I don't really like either. Guaranteed surge is nice, but having to invest so much on Nurse and only getting mini, and it's level 1 and it's 300 to 900 range is very unreliable, is very random, is very not that crazy. It doesn't really feel that worth it. But the Sage Slayer is there currently. I do have a feeling that this is going to be irrelevant within like 1 or 2 updates, unfortunately. It's mini search. I thought it was regular search. Yeah, no, it's mini search. It's really unfortunate. It's either Windy or Nurse. Yeah, another person that can counter this is Ultra Form Windy. This is still a floating enemy. Even if you can't stall it that well, Windy will be able to nuke it down very, very fast. Does Sage Slayer get cancelled by Curse? No. Sage Slayer is the same as like Behemoth Slayer or Colossus Slayer. These things are not a trait targeting ability. Okay, so the way Curse works is that it's going to make you not target any trait. So for example, if Nurse gets cursed, she will be a anti-nothing, if that makes sense. She won't be an anti-floating, she won't be an anti-black. But her Sage Slayer doesn't require her to trait target anything. Her knockback and slow requires a target, but Sage Slayer doesn't require that. It's already been like embedded in the ability. So no, it doesn't, the curse doesn't disable it. Since curse still removes the knockback and slow, it does mean that she can't debuff if she's cursed, but she'll still get the extra damage and she'll still get the extra resist. Surgeon has never been more useless. Yeah, well, I mean, who knows? Maybe Surgeon gets Sage Slayer, you know? Many more victims will follow the curse of being destined to receive Sage Slayer as a talent. Yeah, and they're going to be irrelevant within 2 updates. Moving on from that, let's talk about the Socrates unit himself. This is a very odd unit. Let's just go straight to the main stats first, right? It is a 4,350 cost unit, pretty much similar to the likes of Ururun, of like Mina, Bahamut, Jagando, and all that stuff. It is a 250 range unit. How odd is that? It does have like pretty decent HP, 93k HP, but it's not crazy big. It is level 30, right? So it is higher than level 50. And the DPS isn't that crazy either. 6k DPS for like a 250 range unit is really weird, given that this unit costs 4,350. It does have Omni Strike, reaches up to 400, and a 30% chance to freeze Angel for 1.67 seconds. It does attack really fast, but it doesn't feel like it justifies the 4,350 cost, or the long respawn, or the low range. But when on the battlefield, tap icon again to summon its spirit. So this is the new ability, Summon. Here's a new ability. This ability was added to BCJP 13.1. This is an ability. It's not an official English translation, but I guess like the entire community is gonna call it Summon now. This is Spirit Summoning ability. If you tap the unit again, a new unit will spawn behind him. I'm gonna show a footage first, actually. Let me show a footage first so that it's easier to understand, I guess. This is Twitter quality, so this is gonna be crunchy. But you see here on the bottom, there's a text here that says something okay. This is how you do the summon. When Socrates is on the field, you can press the button again, and it will summon that spirit over there in the middle. And that spirit is going to do an attack. That spirit is also immune to boss knockback, and it is also 100% dodge. So you see there, you see Razorback attacking the spirit and it does nothing? Yeah. Also, the spirit is a one-time attacker. After it attacks, it'll die. The spirit is completely invulnerable and is not able to get hit by anything, not even boss wave. There's completely no way to disable it or to interrupt it whatsoever. And it's going to do a single attack and then it's going to disappear. It is a weird way to say summon. It's like, it is technically a summon. It is a summon. It'll take up a cat limit. However, it's not as much of a summon than it is than like a one-time ability, I guess. Also, you can see Socrates attacking over there. Yeah, after you summon it, you won't be able to summon it anymore. If you see here, the place where it is summoned is actually behind Socrates. It's a little bit hard to see here because it is being summoned when Socrates is getting knocked back. But normally, it would be summoned behind Socrates. So rarely would you ever use it as a wall. You'll only ever use it as a wall if Socrates gets knocked back by like boss knockback or anything like that. But normally the soul wouldn't get hit because it would spawn behind Socrates. As you can see here, it does like one attack and it weakens the Razorback and it weakens the Squirrel. You can see here, it has 100% chance to dodge attack. It's immune to boss shockwave, attacks once and then disappears. And it has 100% chance to weaken all enemies for about like 6 seconds long. This is like a weakened cannon now. Socrates himself only targets angels, but the spirit targets everything. The summon is completely different than the unit itself. Also, even though I'm only covering one summon unit in this video, just so that you know, every summon is unique. Every summoner has unique summons. These summons can have different attack. These summons can have different abilities. Technically, these summons can have different attack range and everything. But for now, for all we know, the summons currently that we have are all the same range and summons at like a similar timing and a similar attack rate and everything, and disappears at the exact same time with the same range. But it technically can be different, and everyone has like different designs. Don't ask how I know that, because we're only covering one summon, but just trust me on this one, right? Like the special soul have like the Socrates like beard and Socrates clothing. It's really cute. I really like this. Totally just a guess. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's just a guess based off the design. I mean, the design is like unique to Socrates, right? So surely every other soul also have like different abilities and everything. But yeah, I haven't seen a footage of this, but some data miners say that like summons cannot spawn behind your base. If Socrates is behind your base, it'll try to summon it right at the same distance as your base. I think it has a maximum distance too for enemy base, but I'm not entirely sure. Generally, it'll try to spawn behind Socrates, but there are minimum range for it. Oh, by the way, this damage, 4,500 damage, is level 30. So at like level 50, I think this deals like 60-70k damage or something something like that. It is very high, it is a nuke, and it is 800 range, but it does spawn behind Socrates, so it is much less than 800. It's probably realistically around like, I don't know, like 600 maybe? 650, I guess? Yes, I guess so. I guess it's probably around 650. It's not going to be effective 800 unless your Socrates gets knocked back. So that's cool. This is what makes spawning Socrates worth it, right? 4,350 cost isn't just for this weird freeze angel unit. It is also for you to be able to summon this nuke that weakens for a very long time. Some special traits, I guess, that summoners has. You see here, there's like the OK icon, right? But after you press the OK icon, you see that it is like grayed out. Like the Socrates icon is like grayed out, or I guess like red out. The reason for this is that you cannot have two Socrates on the field. I guess this is the way that Ponos tries to program summoners to not be confusing on like when to summon stuff and when to actually summon the summon. You cannot have two Socrates on the field until the first Socrates dies. So yes, you cannot stack Socrates. This is, I think, also partially the reason on why Socrates have such a low range. Socrates have only 250 range, and I think this is actually like by design. This is, I think, a design choice. I think Ponos deliberately wants Socrates to be able to die pretty easily so that you can summon another Socrates when you feel like it. Maybe if like your Socrates gets like perma-stunned or like perma-freeze, perma-slowed, then you wouldn't be able to summon another Socrates and you would be like in a pinch. That's why they try to make Socrates die easier. Even though it has a really high health, it only has 250 range, which means that it will try to kill themselves pretty fast. So yeah, you can't baby boom Socrates. You can have two different summoners. So if you have like 10 different summoners, it's not like you have to wait for like one summoner to die to spawn another. You can spawn everyone, just that each summoner can only be spawned once. This is not something that I can show from footage, but this is something that I've seen from testing. This is something that I've asked about by tester. Your new Socrates can only be spawned after the soul animation. So like after Socrates dies and his soul goes up, after the soul disappears, that's when you can summon a new Socrates. However, if your Socrates is dying, so if your Socrates is getting knocked back when it's dead, you can still summon the soul. However, after Socrates turns into a soul, you can't summon it anymore. The summon does take up cat limit. If you have like 50 units on the field, you can't summon it. You can't use the summon ability. It's similar to Iron Wall, where spawning Iron, you just straight up could not spawn Iron Wall if you have 50 units in the field. If the summoner dies, you can't summon the summon. Who would have guessed? What else is there to talk about when it comes to the summon? I think that's basically about it. So there's a really funky thing. I'm not sure if you guys notice this. I've been playing this footage for a couple of times now, right? You notice anything weird between these frames? You see the money that this guy has from 5,900 and then it goes down when you press it. Let me show another footage. Previously, the summon cost like 4,350. This guy clearly doesn't have enough money, and he pressed the summon button anyways. It still works. It does zero out your money, but it does still work. Ponos have made a bulletin board about this. This is a bug. This is a bug. It's not intended. This is an unintended feature, and they are going to fix this. The spirit puts them into depth. But yeah, can you summon while your unit is frozen? Yes. You can summon if your unit gets CC'd, while it gets knocked back, while it gets frozen or whatever. Like I said, even when it's dying, you can spawn it as long as it hasn't turned into a soul. Weaken on demand is insane, especially for rusher units. Rusher units like thrives off of weaken. It gets rebound more, it survives longer. Currently, like lately, the meta for battle cats has just been like rush this, rush that. Yukimura this, Awakened Bahamut this, courier that. Not only that, you can make like rushers rebound, you can make 80 Yukimura, Awakened Bahamut rebound more, or like even Maglev rebound more on like enemies that knock back. You can do some pretty silly stuff. This is an SOL stage, I forgot the name, Cubist Crimes. If you hit the base, a shit ton amount of Brawlos will come out unless you one-shot the base. When you hit the base, you spawn the summon, and you win. You see Socrates is dead here, but the summon still persists, and the summon is dodging everything. Since it's also immune to boss shockwave, it also shows right here, where like you press it and then the sage summons. The immunity to boss wave is pretty big for like cheesing and whatnot. So if you need like something to hit the base. You can use this guy for like Brawlo base hit, which is also really huge because there's a lot of like annoying stages that has like, you know, those stages. I'm sure you've gone through these stages where you hit the base and then immediately like 3 Gabriels came out, or like 2 Brawlos comes out, and then it like immediately kills all your units. These shit happen so much, right? Or you basically gotta like waste cannon to counter that. Of course, for now this is very inaccessible, but I'm sure in the future there's a little bit more units that can do this. But yeah, new irrelevant facing danger stats. Yeah, I have seen a couple of facing danger footage of that. It is one of those funny haha I can do facing danger with stupid units kind of deal. I think that's about it for summon. I don't really know what else to talk about for summon. There is only like one more thing to talk about, and this is something that I'm very excited about. Kat-a-pult finally gets a 4th form, deservedly so. This design looks sick as fuck. I really like this. This is a more HD version of the image. Look at that. Look at that. That's so good. I really like this. But also, most importantly, we got HD golden fat fuck. Let's go. He's gone up a rank a little bit. One of the main selling point of 4th form is the new design. New design is so much more appealing than like ultra form. Ultra talons. I believe like the JP translation for this is like the ultimate mech or something like that. It is Gigapardo, the ultimate tank. That shit kind of slaps. But yeah, so this is the ultimate tank. The true form, or sorry, the ultra form grants him quite a lot of stuff. The attack range doesn't change. The attack frequency doesn't change. The movement speed doesn't change, the knockback doesn't change, the attack animation doesn't change, the recharge doesn't change, the health doesn't increase, but the damage does. The damage almost doubles, not really doubles, but like the damage does go up a huge amount from 6k base DPS to 10k base DPS. It targets relic. The weaken is 100% chance. It gets curse immunity and it gets toxic immunity. It is so nice. Also, the blind spot reduces from 150 to 100, which I thought was like really funny. It really doesn't need the blind spot buff, in my opinion. The blind spot from 150 is already really small. It's pretty much nothing non-zombie will be able to get into his blind spot. Like the only thing that can get into his blind spot are shit like one horn. Base damage, like I said, was previously 6,000 on level 60, but now it is 10,000. It is pretty damn good for a 400 range unit with a LD to go to 725. It is really good damage, and again, it is also target relic now, which means that not only that it weakens relic, it also resists relic against basically every zombies and relics. Since the weaken is 100%, you basically kind of have times 8 health for relics and times like 10 for zombies. This guy's weaken is not only guaranteed, it is basically almost permanent. Its weaken is 250 frames, his attack frequency is 252 frames. With the COTC zombie treasures, this is permanent. Against relic, this is almost permanent. This is only 2 frames off, which is basically nothing. So it is still basically permanent for relics and zombies. Thermal weaken LD with virtually almost no blind spot. It is so good. It is actually the ultimate tank now. Yeah, it's so nice. It has really solid damage. It's curse resist, it's toxic resist, so it can tank any toxic that it wants. I already talked about this again with like Nobi Luga, but there are a lot of relic enemies that stands really far away. Loki, Loris, Autumn, even like Toppington, that all is like a prime target for Siege Engine. You guys do realize he's still LD? He has 100 blind spot. Zombies can burrow inside it. Technically, he does have a minus 320 width for natural for every units, right? But he has 100 blind spot. The only relic that is going inside this blind spot is like Old Horn. But aside from Old Horn, pretty much nothing is going to enter his blind spot. Unless Sorel like zooms in with the speed and clips through, maybe. Sorel is 110 with 40 movement speed. Okay, Sorel can clip. The tankiness is like a strong suit, but I think like the main strength that he has now is the damage and the basically perma weaken. It is very nice. I am so happy with his damage upgrade. He's now not only a really good anti-relic, anti-zombie, but he's also just a good generalist, period. A 10,000 DPS for a level 60 unit is not unheard of. That is actually like relatively common, but for an LD unit that reaches up to 700, it is so good. Having this like really solid DPS for an LD unit with virtually no blind spot is really good. I'm really glad with how this guy turned out. You can bet your ass at 13.1 I'm getting his Ultra Form. He's going to be the second unit that I'm going to level 60. I am very sure of that. I am super happy with how this guy turned out. Also, you might be wondering, like, hey, Lucas, last update, didn't you say you hate Ultra Form or whatever? It's like, okay, the thing about Ultra Form is that not that I dislike the concept, I think the timing is really, really bad. We were hoping for like Super Kachu Form, we were hoping for Shigong and whatever, and it's like, bro, if you release this on a minor update, I would be fine. But on a major update, we've been hyping 13.0 for a while, and now you come up with like Ultra Talent 2.0? Really? I think I would have been fine if this is a minor update. If 13.0 is a minor update, I would have been maybe a little bit okay with it. But like 13.0 was like so built up by everyone, and then it's like, oh, I will say I do generally like Ultra Form so much better than Ultra Talents. They handle Ultra Form so much better than Ultra Talents so far, but I'm still disappointed that 13.0 was just Ultra Forms. I'm still disappointed that like a major update was just something for Ubers and Ubers only. I still think it sucks, but I'm still happy for those who received the Ultra Talents, you know? 13.0 also gave Frosty Kai better stats. Sure. But yeah, that's kind of about it for 13.1. Overall, I am... how do I put this? I'm a bit mixed with this update. I do like how they handle Summon. I think Summon is actually done very, very well, minus the bug of Summon eating up cost. I think Summon is a really, really cool ability. I think they handled Summon really, really well. There are fan-made abilities of Summons out there where it goes like out of hand very, very quickly. So I'm actually glad they managed to do Summon in a pretty balanced way, I would say. Even if it is pretty gimmicky with like it being like resist to boss shockwave and everything, I'm still generally pretty happy with how it turned out. Summon, I think, was handled really well. Sage, I think, is a really, really cool subtype. I really like the idea of Sage because this is a subtype where it is not only a subtype for the sake of it. You know what I mean? Like, when it comes to Behemoths and Colossus, they basically have no actual difference aside from like design, right? But for Sage, it's not only that they have design, it's also that they have a special innate ability of being able to resist all sorts of stuff. I think it's really, really cool. It gives Sages so much more uniqueness than just like, oh, we stuff a black orb to a unit and call it a new subtype. And now you can use your Colossus Slayer for this. Haha, guys, right? We give you Colossus Slayer for a reason, right? Guys, you want to use Cone, right? You want to use Cone. It's like, whatever, man. I still don't like that it has the 1.2 times effect, but it is handled so much better than Behemoth Slayer. It is handled so much better than Colossus Slayer, especially Behemoth Slayer. It is at least pretty balanced. Fuck Behemoth Slayer. This shit sucks. This shit is unbalanced as hell. Nothing should deal 10 times damage to a unit. I'm glad Sage Slayer learned from this. I still think this update can be handled better. I'm still a little bit sour about Ultra Form, but I'm glad that Siege Engine is the one that gets Ultra Form. I'm generally pretty happy with this update, but I do think they can handle stuff a little bit better. But I think this is a huge improvement from 13.0. I think it is also partially because 13.0 was supposed to be a major update, and then it ended up being a letdown. Not only that, we also got a proper ZL stage that is actually challenging. One thing that this stage did that I've noticed that I have not seen in like forever is that it actually made the community gather up and try to strategize. I know that sounds weird, but like when this update dropped and when people are trying to fight Socrates, some people on Discord are like, oh my god, how do I do this? How do I beat this? I've tried this unit, I've tried that unit, I've tried Doron, I've tried Egg Pop, I've tried Zamboni, I've tried Research Rock, I've tried this and that, and I've tried like double Ururun, I've tried whatever, and nothing's working, and then people are like actually struggling. It is nice to see that. I know it's weird to say it's like, haha, they're struggling, nice, but like I genuinely have not seen that in forever, because for such a long time, it feels like every hard stage is like, just use X, X and win. But even like right now, even if you use Cyber and Sniper, you still need like such a proper defensive like meat shields and like very specific like meat shield choices and whatever. It feels like the last time I seen this was like years. It felt like years. That is not something stupid like Barons. It's so weird too because like this stage is so simple. It's literally just a boss and periodic dark doges. Strategize just for the conclusion of using the degenerate SRs. Yeah, but even like using the degenerate SR, like you still need like the proper offense and defense, right? Like people still go like, oh my god, unique bullet train, I'm gonna use Ekpot to attack the doges because Ekpot has like more damage than Zamboni. I gotta use this and that. I gotta use Research Octo. I gotta use like Killer Cat or whatever. I gotta use Neko Common at level 15 with floating defense and defense up. I remember when people thought it was easy because the first footage sent was Ultra Form Windy. Yeah. Admittedly, when I first saw the stage, I was also like, whatever. This is like a stupid ass stage. You just spam Octo and win. And then people start talking about it more and more and more and more. And I'm like, wait, this stage is legit. I'm sure this stage would probably get power crept in like 1 or 2 updates, unfortunately. I think that's the realistic nature of it. Maybe, how about, you know, this guy is floating, right? How about, you know, maybe we do have like a super rare unit that has not been used in forever, you know? What if maybe a certain anti-floating super rare could get a redemption, you know? Who knows? I mean, you know, like Sage, it also kind of like fits in the team, you know? Maybe? Ponos? Maybe? Ultra Talent? Ultra Form? Summon? Something? You know? Maybe? Copium, look. I know, it is Copium, but it would be cool. Ponos, please, listen to me. I have good ideas, right?